Hey everybody, Barry from Camera Lens Rentals here. I just want to go over, we actually get a lot of customers that send in their drones for repairs. We repair our own, and one of the biggest problems that we run into is the loose arms. And as you can see, this one, there's just a lot of play in the arm. There's actually way too much. This just came back. Actually, this is a customer who sent it in and wanted me to fix this for him. So even if you were to order a whole new arm, switch out the motors, all that good stuff, you're still going to run into an issue with it. And the issue is not with it's not with this bracket really per se, although it is a little bit. It's just the grooves inside of here, inside of this bracket get worn, as well as on the arm itself, and I'll show you here in just a minute. And also another thing that we run into, which I was kind of freaked out the first time I saw it, is sometimes you'll see the arm, it'll look straight and then it'll start to bow towards the inside. And the problem with that is, or what causes it is, if you're going in and out of travel mode on gravel, concrete, grass, whatever, with the rubber feet down here on the bottom, it really grabs and it creates a lot of pressure and a lot of tension on these when they're going in and out. So you might see both arms start to curve inside like that. And that's the problem, is to where with the Inspire 1, they were plastic feet. Plastic kind of slides over everything a little bit better, so you didn't notice that. And also the design was a little bit different as well with the arms. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to address both issues. We're going to address the bow, and then we're going to address the loose arm here as well. So he's had no issues with this. He was just a little worried about the loose arm, and over time, yes, it will get to the point where it gets so loose that the arm will collapse. We've heard and seen of crashes, so we'll get to the bottom of it, and I'll actually show you this. So I'll go ahead and switch the camera view and we'll get this taken care of. Okay, so the next thing we want to do here is I've already removed it, but you'll want to remove one of these little clamps here that catches the pin going in from your strut to the bracket here. So we'll get this taken out here. And those just come out, and you can pop it back on later. So we'll just slide this down. Actually, I better loosen the screw. So make sure when you loosen this screw, you keep a little bit of pressure against it, because you do not want to strip out this screw. And sometimes, if you maybe purchased a used one, or somebody for whatever reason put Loctite on it, you're going to strip it, and the next thing you know, you're going to have to buy a new arm, or get a really good screw removal, which is going to be tough. So we'll pull that off of here. So the first problem we're going to address is how sometimes you might find the arm curves. And I'll zoom out here a little bit. So you might find that the arm starts to curve in. So there's actually three little, it actually take a T1, it's a real tiny little screw, little screwdriver. So these right here, there's 6 screws right here. And I'm not gonna, these are fine, but you'll notice that some of these will be loose as soon as you open them up. So just make sure, if you're noticing the bend, and I can probably count at least 10 to 15 different drones that we've run into issues with where the arms look like they're starting to bend, and all 6 of these screws are a little bit loose. So that'll keep that arm, this one will be straight, but right here's a new section, and so that arm will be loose. So these are all fairly good. I'll probably go around and tighten these up just to make sure. Put a little blue Loctite on there, you're not going to have any problem, and that'll actually stop the bending of the arm. So and if it happens again, just go in there and tighten them up. So so the one thing that we want to do now, so we actually have this Nito tape, and this Nito tape is actually kind of a clear type electrician's tape, and we actually use it on our camera lenses. So underneath your rubber rings for your zoom and for your focus, Canon, Nikon, they'll all use this type of tape, and what that does, it keeps dust and stuff like that out of the electronics, and underneath there might be screws that you need to access to remove part of the lens or do some calibration. So it's actually just kind of a clear electrician's tape. So what I do is I actually just take this, I'll peel this off, you know, a good section. I'll tape it to the, I'm actually here on a Rubbermaid table, which works perfect. I'll set that down, I'll cut it to size, and so I'll do that now, and then I'll get that wrapped and we'll come back. Okay, so now I've got my tape wrapped around here. And you're probably asking, well, why you wrap, you know, what's up with the tape? So if you're working on the Inspire 1 for the first time, 9 times out of 10, if you're gonna pull this off of here, you're gonna notice that there's like a black type fiberglass tape that DJI uses. And so if you go to peel that off, it breaks into about 20 different pieces. I mean, it's so frail. So, so that's actually what's kind of keeping the tension, you know, keeping a little, filling up a little bit of the space between these grooves. So on here, you have grooves, and then also on the clamp itself, there's actually grooves. And the problem is that those grooves are metal and they start to wear. So the more vibration there is, you know, up and down, any sort of, you know, rotating at all, these grooves will actually, you know, they're starting to wear this metal on metal. So we actually replace the DJI tape, which this is definitely a much better solution. Like I said, it's Nito tape. We use it for cameras. It's kind of a clear electrician's type tape, and it's about, I think, 0.2 millimeters. So it's a really thin. It's not really sticky. It's not a big adhesive, and I'll show you. We'll get this put together, and I'll take it apart a little bit later, and we'll show you that it just peels right off of there. So so make sure you have the 6 screws tightened up to prevent any bowing, or if you already have bowing, get that tape on there, and then this actually just slides right over. So, and the one thing that we see online is a lot of times is you know, a lot of people with the loose arms, they're talking, hey, you know, just take a T9 and tighten that screw. Well, you can sit there and tighten that screw. Yeah, it's gonna work for a while. Another week later, it's gonna be loose again. You're gonna tighten it, and eventually what's gonna happen is that screw is gonna be so tight, there should still be somewhat of a gap. These two pieces, this part and this part should never be touching. I mean, that's way too tight. And then what happens is you'll start to see a bend and a crack right here, and that's toast. You'll need a new arm. You can't buy just these, and you're gonna need an entire new arm. So, and they're about 140 bucks depending on where you get them from. So, so the key is, all you need to do to stop the movement is just to add some tape here. So, and like I said, again, I can't reiterate, this is like a clear electrician's tape. It's really thin. This is actually kind of tough to find. It's called Nito tape. It's made in Japan. So once you have that on there, we'll just slide this over right here. We'll come up here, we'll match up our strut, and I'm sure this is going to give me a little problem here, as it always does when you're trying to film for the first time. So just kind of get that matched up here. Let me get this, I'll finagle this. Sometimes it takes a little bit of movement. I might have that up too tight, too high. There we go. There we go. So now we're in. So I'm not going to go through we've actually got angle measurement tools, how we use to measure the angle of the props. We kind of have a set thing. We kind of based them off brand new ones that we got from DJI. So so I'll measure those later. But for right now, and then so all you're going to need to do is just take this screw And again, keep pressure on this. You do not want to strip this screw, because then it's a bear to get out, if at all. So that's pretty tight, and you can actually feel that thing tighten a lot quicker than what it was before. So let me zoom back out here. So now we've got our bracket back in here. I still have to put the little clamp back on here, but so now, as you can see, there's absolutely no play in this at all. So I could have tightened that thing down and tightened it down and kept going and going and going, and there still would have been play in this. So there was actually no tape underneath this one. This one's a customer's that I'm doing a repair for. He was having the Boeing, was having a Boeing issue as well as the loose arms, and he was concerned, so he sent this in. Like I said, this takes me 10 minutes to do, but I'm actually also going through, I'm disassembling this whole thing and really give it a good clean and lubrication, stuff like that. So getting everything, he was out shooting on a beach, and as you can see, it's a little sandy. So, but yeah, so this thing is not going anywhere now. It is, I mean, it is rock solid, and I'm not going to sit here and crank on it to, you know, to break it or anything like that, but it's rock solid. So as you can see, in this one right here, I'm going to do the same thing. You can see there's a lot of play in this one right here, and there shouldn't be that much. It's not going to hurt if there's a little bit of play, but the problem is when there's a little bit of play, it starts to get more and more and more. So I'm going to do this arm as well. So I just want to, you know, that's what we've been doing, our fix, for about 1.5 years now. The problem is, you know, you can, like I said, you can sit here and tighten and tighten and tighten all you want, but that metal on metal is what is wearing, and eventually those grooves, if you don't have some sort of thing in between there, it's going to wear it down, and you hear of the problems where those arms are, you know, will turn or rotate and collapse, and the next thing you know, you have a crashed drone. We've never experienced that. We've seen them online and, you know, in the DJI forums. So I'm gonna, again, in the next clip, I'll go ahead and we'll take this off, and I'll show you how that tape sits, and, you know, how not sticky it is, and it just kind of creates a little buffer, a little filler in there to give it a little more tension. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Okay, so now I've got everything taken apart here, and I just want to show you this tape. So we'll go ahead and drop that down here, and we'll pull this off. And as you can see, that tape is still exactly where it's supposed to be. And we'll just go ahead and kind of pry up a little section here. And as you can see, that comes right off. And you can actually see the grooves, and you can feel them as well, to where you know, they sat down in those grooves, and does exactly what it's supposed to do. So again, if you're having issues with this, you know, with it being loose, all it takes is a little you know, clear electrical tape. Again, this is Nito tape. We use it for cameras, camera lenses, to kind of protect port covers, stuff like that, underneath the rubber ring. So if you have any questions, please sure to, you know, shoot me a text, or you know, subscribe or comment below. Thanks so much.